Hi everyone, I'm Tracy Lewis with We Are Winter Garden, and I'm joined with Pastor Scott, who is the founder, CEO, and president of Matthew's Hope, along with Shelley Bradford, who is the vice president and executive director for Matthew's Hope. We are in episode 24, Straight Talk, No BS, with Matthew's Hope, and today we are going to talk about what a typical day is like for a homeless person in Brevard County. So before we get into some details, do you guys have an idea of about how many people are homeless in Brevard County?
We just finished the point in time count, so those numbers have not been released yet.
Okay.
I can tell you that they're expected to be somewhere about 20% higher than last year, possibly 25% more than last year. I can tell you that a couple weeks ago, Wesh News said that homelessness was up 75% in Southern Florida since 2019. The numbers are pretty staggering, and we can tell just by our own growth. We're intaking each week at each location, somewhere between 5 and 10 new people every time we open.
Yeah.
And so the number is pretty staggering. Even then, I think that when we get a final count, it won't be right. Because it's just a very difficult thing to do, especially now that most of the woods are gone. People are on the move a lot more than they used to be.
And is there a typical homeless person, or what is a typical homeless person?
No such thing.
Yeah. Do they look a certain way? Do they do a certain thing? I feel like most people.
Yeah. No question. I ask people all the time, do I look homeless to you? I mean, I'm the same person I was when I was homeless. I think that it's all, we were each built differently. And a lot of it has to do with how a particular individual is able to, their psyche is able to handle the situation they're in. I often tell people, if you didn't have a mental health issue before you were homeless, you will once you become homeless. When you think of that your average day, can you imagine each morning you wake up and, Tracy, you have children. Shelley, you have children. I have kids. Can you imagine each morning that you get up, you're told you have to move today? But you're thinking to yourself, well, I got to get out there and figure out where we're going to go, but my kids are hungry. Or my kids got to get to school. Oh no, I got one who's in high school, I've got one in middle school, and I've got one who's in kindergarten. I don't have a vehicle. It's crisis. And some deal with crisis better than others, but there's no one way. A few years ago, we need to do this again. It's been a number of years ago. We did I asked everybody to, let's break down how many types of homeless people we know. And I think at one point we had something like 37 different types. And then there were subsets underneath that, because you got veterans, you had single moms, you had women that came out of domestic violence, you had mental illness, you had disabled people physically, you had disabled people mentally, you had different levels of that. You had bipolar, you had schizophrenia, and we just kept going and kept going and kept going. And part of the challenge is the way most things are government funded is they try to put the homeless in a box. I always tell people, we know where the black and white is, but we swim in the gray. You have to understand an individual and have a relationship with them if you're actually going to try to help them.
So you brought up a question in my head because you said a mom, they have to figure out the kids going to school, what they're going to eat before they even are asked to, or before she can move because she was asked to move. Take us into the life of a homeless person from the morning when they get up to when they go to sleep. And I know it probably varies for so many people.
It does, and there's different things that different challenges people have. But let's just talk about the basics.
Okay.
Whether you're a family or an individual, imagine having to move every day. Yeah, I don't care how much stuff you have. Forget about that for a second. But you have to move every day. Imagine not knowing where your next meal is going to come from, if you've lived by yourself. So homelessness has a lot, it duplicates, I can tell you from my own experience, it duplicated my drug addiction. And for those that are curious about that, my drug addiction had nothing to do with being homeless. I was a commodities trader in South Florida in the early 80s. It's just something that went along with my life. but it very much duplicated it by this. This is what I meant. When I used to get up in the morning, when I was using, I'd get up and we call it a bump. You do a little bump. And when I talk about it, oddly enough, my sinus is clogged up. It's been happening for years. But to get going. And then you start trying to get through the day. And a couple hours later, you have to do it again. That happens throughout the day. When you're homeless, you wake up, I'm hungry. Where am I going to get something to eat? Mm-hmm. And then you got to try to figure out what kind of transportation you're going to find so that you can find your next meal being lunch. After lunch, your next transportation to dinner. From dinner, where do I sleep tonight? And do I need transportation there? And so your whole life becomes, where do I eat? Where do I sleep? And how do I get there? Mm-hmm. And in today's climate, and with the new laws coming out, with camping laws and the sidewalk laws and the other bullshit laws, because that's all you can call them. And they all are, so every politician tells us all the time, these are not meant to hurt the homeless. Come on, guys, let's call it for what it is. I'm embarrassed for you. You shouldn't be able to lie that easy.
We typically are going to be going camping somewhere in the city.
Right. I've never wanted to camp in Ocoee, Florida my whole life. And I don't know anybody in the entire country, and I've traveled all over the world. I don't know anybody who wanted to camp. I do know people that have tried to find a place to sleep. Mm-hmm. And then what often happens is because they are not trespassed properly, and I can guarantee they will tell you this is not true. I can promise you it's true. Often what's happened is their stuff is torn up. They lose their important papers. They lose their IDs, and it's starting all over again. Mm-hmm. And this is just a cycle. It's
just a cycle.
So imagine now you're doing that, and you have the problems of this now. Now you don't have an address to get the paperwork, so you can't receive something if you get it, or to go through the process of getting it. You don't have the ability to sit online and do that process. And now, like with SNAP benefits, food stamps, they've screwed up that so bad since the first of the year that we have a long list of people that have gone without food stamps for months now, because you can only use the same phone number twice, and you can't. And they changed their website that doesn't work. And then what happens if you're on hold for 45 minutes? It will say that if you didn't get the help you're looking for, try again, and it hangs up on you.
Right?
Okay, and you're going now. Imagine in the very best of worlds.
Right.
Okay, let's say we work for someone who's very understanding of our situation, that will allow us to be on the phone, will allow us to go where we need to go. These people don't have that. And so it's constant crisis. And what often happens is they just give up. It's kind of like a lot of the veterans. There's a lot of great veterans benefits. I mean, there really are a lot of great benefits. And we've done better than we used to. But the truth is, a lot of these guys go, I'm done.
It's too hard to get.
You've made it too hard.
And they're not readily available unless somebody tells you. Shelley,
or can get you where you need to go and all that fun stuff.
Yes,
or someone advocating for you.
Because it's a process. Because Mari is a veteran, and the benefits that he's gotten, it's a process, and it's only because he found out from somebody else, and it takes a long time.
Clear cut.
Right. So Shelley, as mother to mother, I could not imagine a day as a mom being homeless, because a day as a mom, having a home, having food, having a car is tough.
Right.
So how are these moms doing it? What's a day look like for them?
So, well, I can only guess, but I can say what has been my experience, and I've heard Scott say this many times, is women are very resilient. They're tough. They're tough. And I really believe God made us that way because, somebody has to be. But just like, we've heard Scott say many times, they'll cry in their pillow and then they'll get up and go. But it's not easy. And I don't think I'm really giving you a good answer.
No.
I mean, I personally can't imagine.
Right.
I have 3 kids of my own, as well as my brother that lives with me. And I can't imagine if we all, and my husband, he's there too. I can't imagine us all having to pick up and move every day. It's hard enough doing it on a trip that you've planned.
Right.
So can you imagine that being a continual trip all the time?
It's exhausting. I mean, we all like going on vacation, but I think we can all agree.
We want to come back.
We're ready to come home.
Yeah.
We want to just go home, and we're ready. We've had a good time. Now take the good time away and take away the ability to have put your stuff with an airline or something, and so it travels with you.
Yeah.
You got to take it with you, all your belongings.
I was just going to ask about the belongings.
Yeah.
People have belongings and they're carrying them with them. Are they in constant, like I keep hearing you say, constant crisis of those belongings getting taken from them or them forgetting them somewhere?
Or the
Are they
weather.
always taking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stuff getting soaked.
Yeah.
We try to provide ponchos, we provide tarps, we provide waterproof tents. We try to provide as much help as we can, but the reality of it is, in the state of Florida, you're either too hot, too cold, or too wet.
Yes.
And those tear up everything.
We did have a donor get really touched by the fact that our people are in constant move all the time.
Yeah.
And she gave us a bunch of really nice weatherproof suitcases. But how far can you go with that as well?
Well, the
And they
challenge
break
with that,
down.
they break down, but it also, nothing says I'm homeless that's better than someone not near an airport driving a
Yes,
suitcase.
yes.
The intention was good. It's sweet, but it often makes them a target.
Sure.
Yes.
And so our goal is to hide them in plain sight as best we can. And they even, one of the challenges they often run into is they have just a little bit of belongings, but it's rough to carry that everywhere. And nothing says, again, I'm homeless when it looks like you're carrying all your belongings.
Or backpack.
So they tuck them away somewhere, and then they come back and someone's stolen them or thrown them away. Or another thing that's happened is, like, a lot of these folks depend on public transportation, and these buses are set up to carry some bicycles. But if your bike can't get on and you need to make your probation meeting or you need to make your medical meeting, okay, well, excuse me. So you leave your bike locked up somewhere. You get on the bus, might come back and somebody just took your bike, or they took your tires off, or they vandalized it. And so just think about someone messing with your stuff all the time. And then, like I said,
stuff that you have.
Right.
it's all you got. And then some of those things you depend on greatly to do whatever work you can do, to get whatever benefits you can get. But, if you don't have your license
Right.
in the state of Florida, people don't realize this. You're not getting anything. I mean, nothing. Social services,
How can
nothing.
you work without a license?
You can't, not legally. And you can't get even social services without that. So one of the biggest things we have to do. That's why I love iDignity, a great organization, and why we let them train us years ago so that we could do it also in our areas, is helping people get those IDs.
That's great. How about clothing? Like, I wash clothes every Friday, and if you don't wash your clothes, they start to smell. Like I was just telling you, my shirt was clean, but it was in the closet because I didn't put it away for a certain amount of time, and it smelled like musty. So what are they doing with how are they washing their clothes?
Well, in our case, we do it for them. Okay, we provide a laundry service for them. I mean, our goal is, if we can't, in the process of moving you towards a life of independence and self-sustainability, or if we can't get you there for whatever reason, and there's a lot of different reasons, but our goal is then hide you in plain sight. So get you in here, get your laundry done. And the way we do it also is, my feelings are to anything that's free has no value, and therefore why take care of it? So I'm not going to give you jeans every time you come to Matthew Soap. Now, if you rip them out, we're not going to let you walk around with ripped jeans out.
Right.
But I think it's once a quarter you can get a new pair of jeans. But in the meantime, you can bring back what you have. We'll bring it on Tuesday. We launder it. When we see you Thursday, we'll give it back to you. Keep you fresh clothing, keep you fresh looking. I jokingly say around here in the Brevard area, I say, we want you to look like a tourist.
Yeah.
Just blend in.
Yeah.
And they kind of laugh about that, but they get it, because when they blend in, no one harasses them.
And then that's cut down on our needs as well. Because we
significantly.
don't give out as many clothes.
Right. They're taking care of it and learning how to.
I mean, you think between our two locations now, we're going around $75,000 a week in food, clothing, and hygiene. Now, that's only pantry food. That's not other food. That's just pantry food.
Right.
Hygiene items and clothing, $75,000, sometimes more each week. If we did not do the laundry, okay, that would be, I can't even guess the number, easily triple that or more.
So we wake up, we wash our face, brush our teeth, shower, put clean clothes on, grab something on the way, a hot coffee from our Keurig, and we're out the door. How is that different from somebody who is homeless?
I think of several stories. One in particular that stands out to me as I'm thinking about this is we had a family whose mother was a Orange County school bus driver. Okay, and she would get her bus early in the morning, and she would take her kids to Lowe's because they open early for the contractors, and they would go into the restroom and wash their face, brush their teeth, and what have you. And this particular Lowe's, I knew the manager at the time, and they called me, and they kind of knew what was going on, and they didn't want to rush the people off. And so that's how we made contact with them. We helped them further than that. But I mean, think about that. Gather it up. Make sure you show up at work at time. Get the vehicle you're supposed to take out. I'm guessing she probably wasn't supposed to have her kids probably on that bus. I don't know. I didn't ask, and I'm not suggesting she did something wrong. But her main thing was she wants to get her kids. Now she's trying to figure out how to get them something to eat, and so they can go to school. Because if they don't go to school, then the next thing is they're going to become the next generation of homelessness. You know, and you know, I've heard of people, you know, literally washing out their underwear in the big sinks at places like Lowe's and Home Depot have. And then you have the other challenges that, you know, people, we lock the public bathrooms at night. Okay. And I understand that sometimes people make a mess of those bathrooms. But the answer isn't locking the bathrooms, because now where does that person go? Okay. And a lot of even like your convenience store type places at night will not let people come in that are specifically there to buy something. During the pandemic, they all were closed. All the bathrooms were closed.
Even to us.
You know, yeah. So it's one reason why we helped get porta potties out around the community was for that, because I was telling the local mayors and city managers, can you imagine what it's going to look like with people defecating wherever? And there's only one thing I'm really confident of every day is you're probably going to poop. Yeah. You know, it's gonna happen.
Hopefully you're not constipated.
Yeah, hopefully you're not constipated. But
that's
you know,
a whole nother problem.
but yeah, I mean, it's things that we take for granted every day. You know,
Well, I got 2 pairs of shoes for Christmas. I'm thinking that's just for Christmas. I just opened and I got 2 pairs of cute, bright Nike shoes for Christmas. What happens to the people who have 1 pair of shoes and it's raining?
Well, that's it. I mean,
what's happening to them?
Think of the day. You're hoping to catch a bus that may or may not come. It rains on you. Beauty of Florida, it rains on you. What's the next thing that happens? The sun comes out. Then the humidity level goes up to 100%. And you're sweating and you're stinking and you're trying to put the best face you can. And then someone says something like this to you. Hey, bum, why don't you get a job? Okay, and what that does to someone's psyche and their dignity. And what happens is, I tell people all the time, if you want people to act like animals, treat them like animals. And that's, unfortunately, there's people in our society that feel that's okay. I don't wish anything bad on them, but quite honestly, I wish everybody would be homeless for at least 1 solid day. And I'm not talking about let's go camp under the bridge with a bunch of other people we know to know. That's not homelessness. No, go on the street by yourself when
that's an event.
Yeah, that's an event. Yeah. You know, take your Reese's peanut butter cup, whatever. You know, how about you take all those things away? And I can tell you from, again, personal experience that your mind is constantly racing because you're trying to pay attention to everything that's going on around you, because you automatically know people don't want you there. And so you're trying to keep a low profile. You're trying that. Then you got the weather changes happening, and then you miss the bus, or the bus isn't on time. You know, and a lot of these folks, you know, I can't tell you how many people have been arrested because there's a warrant out for their arrest because they did not make their court date, or they missed a probation because they didn't get the notification that comes in the mail. Okay.
Or I've seen bus drivers slow down and see who's there and drive away.
Oh, drive away.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just saw this the other day. They slow down like they can make the stop, see who it is, and hit the gas.
Away.
Okay. Now, I don't know if that's a personal decision to make. I don't know if that's the policy of the people they work for. I don't know. I just know it's not okay. Now, do we like somebody to get on the bus that smells like urine? No. But rather than just complain about it, then what we ought to, as a society, be looking at ways that, well, what can we do about it? And alone, none of us can do much of anything, but together we can accomplish some pretty big things. I like to throw the God thing in there too. I think when he sees us participating in the process, he has a way to put huge blessings on things that we never dreamed of.
Right.
And Matthew's Hope is a perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about food, because we just ate lunch and I can't wait to eat again. So, and it was some good ahi tuna. Thanks, Mark.
Good, right?
But in all seriousness, like what are they doing? Are they cooking? Are they eating? Are they starving? Or what happens when they don't have food?
Very
Howard.
little cooking going on.
Yeah.
There's no camps anymore. There's very few camps. Something very sad that I just saw recently is, we just finished up the point in time count here in the last couple of weeks, and many of the places that were made public through the point in time count have now been trespassed.
Mm.
And I can't tell you how or why that happened. I can just tell you we know it did. And so the few places people have learned how to hide, they're being trespassed from those places. And when we throw people away, that's what we're doing. When we throw people away, they know it.
Be clear what you're saying about how these people are being trespassed, because that's, if I didn't know what you're saying, I think that people would miss what you're saying.
Well, they're being threatened that they're going to go to jail if they don't leave the premises. And
where people didn't know where they were.
A lot of times nobody knew. I mean, some of these places, it's like there's no way someone could know you were there.
Yeah.
Unless somebody specifically were to seek you out and then specifically go after getting you out of there.
Yeah.
I'd say most places are not very visible. Okay.
Yeah.
I do tell our homeless all the time, I said, don't put up a blue tarp. I can see you, especially the time of year when there's not as many leaves and foliage.
Yeah.
That's why we try to do try to do brown or camouflage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then what happens is you can become what's known as a habitual offender.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get very little benefit of the doubt when they look you up and it shows you've been arrested again and again for trespassing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, people say, well, why don't they just leave? Well, they may not have a house, but our records have indicated over the years that about 85% of the people we serve have a direct connection to the community. They went to school here. They have businesses here, homes, what have you. And so though maybe one municipality ships them over to the other municipality, within days they're back.
They're back where
because that's home.
Mm-hmm.
And but again, the challenge comes back to being that as home is constantly evolving, because someone decided to bulldoze the camp.
Mm-hmm.
And often what happens is the people are sent out, they don't care, so they just bulldoze all the belongings, everything into a hole.
Mm.
So now you've lost everybody's important papers, their medical paper. I mean, again, think about how hard it is just day to day. Okay, I'm a fairly, and this is a stretch, I'm a fairly intelligent person. I struggle day to day when I have to go to the doctors and they ask me for all this information. I am terrible at saying, well, what medications are you on?
Mm-hmm.
I'll sit there and look at Charlene. She comes with me now because she gets tired of the answer at home when I go home, and she says, what'd they tell you? And I said, I think I'm supposed to drink more water and lay off the sugar, whatever. So, some people know I've been dealing with some health issues the last like 11 months now.
But you did lose 40 pounds.
And I did lose 40 pounds, and it wasn't because I'm sick. I did that before we discovered whatever else is going on, and we haven't discovered what's going on. But she goes to these doctor's appointments with me. Now take that out of there. Take that out of there, that you're just trying to figure out how to get there. And then they say, well, can you come back in such and such day or can you see so-and-so?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you answer that question when you don't know if you can get somewhere, and you don't even know that a lot of the doctor that you're referred to will even see you?
Right.
Again, the frustration that creates, and I've watched people, and I've been there, and if we're honest, most of us are honest, we've all been there sometime where they go, seriously, I filled this out the last 5 times I've been here.
Oh, yeah.
Or they're asking the same question they just asked on the previous page.
Yeah.
Now imagine that happening possibly several times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it just beats you down. And then you're trying to, I have people say, hey, I want to give you these suits to wear and stuff. It's like our people need, what they need is, what are you sleeping? What can you sleep in tonight and go to work tomorrow and nobody knew you slept in it?
Yeah.
Okay. So
you talked about them taking the camps out. So they used to cook in the camp.
Oh, yeah.
So they would have some type of food in some sort, but now they're not having food. Is that affecting their physical, mental health?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how does lack of food play into effect if you're homeless?
I mean, really, I would like to say nobody in our counties should go homeless ever. Can they go home and cook? No. That's why we ask for single servings and things like that, because people want to be able to open up a can of green beans.
Okay.
That's something we have an abundance of. So let's
That example.
there.
Don't say any more green beans. Yeah.
open up a can of Spam. Spam's big.
Okay.
But they need to finish that can, because the next day it's not going to be good, because they don't have refrigerators.
And they could get food poisoning if they try to keep it. And people try to do that sometimes. That's why we ask a single serve. But the other part, from a health standpoint, to be honest with you, most of the food that we give out I'm not proud of giving it out. I'm happy that I'm filling somebody's tummy.
Mm-hmm.
But the other side of it, from a health standpoint, because they can't cook, they can't eat fresh meats, they can't eat a lot of fresh produce. We give some out, but they usually eat it on the spot, or they eat it that day.
Mm-hmm.
There's no place to put it.
Right.
Then you've got to deal with the raccoons and rats and everything else. I mean, there's so much that the average person doesn't think about.
Oh, I've heard funny stories. I heard a guest talking about the other day about how these raccoons will come up and steal their stuff at night and run away like it's, like the cartoon.
Thieves.
Yes. And it just, the word picture make me laugh.
And we're laughing about it, but think about it. Like, that's another crisis that they're dealing with. Like,
we're not laughing because we think it's funny.
because I think it's cute, and I was laughing too.
We're laughing because it's like you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of look. We laugh about a lot of things we shouldn't laugh about. I think that's how we keep from losing our minds.
Mm-hmm.
But from a visual standpoint, it's so unbelievable that it's kind of funny until you actually start to really process. And you go, my God,
that's
not
exactly
funny
what
at
just
all.
happened. I was like laughing. I'm like, wait. I'm like,
don't feel guilty.
starving.
But
don't feel
That's why I was like, oh my gosh, I'm laughing, but this is not like.
But it's true, and I mean, bears.
Yeah.
I mean, tents being destroyed by bears, coyotes. People think, here's funny, because the other thing that I think are, we talk about government now and then. In Florida, we're really famous for not looking at the ripple effect of anything we do.
Yeah.
So we build new places without the proper streets, without the proper schools, without proper access to food. We not paying attention to where did the coyotes, the bears, the raccoons, and the homeless people go when we wipe out this set of woods.
Mm-hmm.
We really need to start in our planning for the future of our entire country, really start looking at the ripple effect of things and what's this going to look like, because we know we're displacing animals, we're displacing people. I tell people all the time, if you see a bobcat, a bear, what have you, chances are, give it a few minutes, you'll see a homeless man, woman, or child come out of there soon, because it's the same place they're living.
Yeah.
Now imagine all those places you're sharing that space with are stealing from you at night.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because they're looking for food also. And they will take their clothes, they will chew through their tents, they will, destroy these things.
Yeah.
And that's just, Again, we don't typically have to think about that.
Right.
We go to bed, we lock our door, we're relatively safe.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're out there and you're just amidst of whatever else is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this episode has really given me a more appreciation for what I have, that I'm able to wake up in a bed, even though I think I need a new bed because it's uncomfortable. I have a bed.
Yes.
And I don't have to worry about my surroundings because I'm in a safe area and I have food. I have water for my toothbrush. But I'm glad that you guys have opened, I hope, a lot of our eyes on what a day looks like. And it's not drug addicts, and some, yes, but it's moms, it's dads, it's elderly. It's somebody who just lost their job and they can't catch up, or they lost an ID and they can't get that job back, or what have you. So thank you for walking us through a day. We are going to talk about in the next episode a typical day in Brevard County on your outreach days. So I'm excited to hear about that and the process that you guys do to help the crisis that they're going through every day, every hour. That gives them a little bit of peace, I feel.
Yeah.
So
better start doing our homework.
Yes.
How's that?
We'll get ready.
Good. Thank you all for watching. Come back to the next episode because they do some amazing stuff on these outreach days. And I can't imagine how many hearts you have touched by giving them these little pieces of peace, by being able to come here and get a shower and all the things that you're going to talk about on our next episode. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next episode. Thank you, Pastor Scott. Thank you, Shelley.